I think it was me, one, giving up this expectation of like what I thought love needed to look like, or what it should look like, or what it had to be like. And I just kind of let things happen and let life flow and let love flow. And now obviously we've been together for 5.5 years, but I think, you know, we're both fluid on the spectrum. She's dated men as well. She's dated, you know, more women than me, but I think we are like love is love kind of people.
Yeah.
And so whoever, I think I'm attracted to people's souls and their spirit.
And there's just beauty all over the place, you know, and like you said, we're both kind of fluid in that regard. But yeah, it was a tough journey for me to like accepting that in myself, you know, because that wasn't always around me. Like I didn't see that often, like where I grew up and coming to college, like I was still dating guys and having different feelings about, you know, girls and guys, and like trying to label that for myself and identify where I stood. That was a tough journey. But when I was able to kind of accept myself for what I was feeling and, you know, what made me happy, that kind of changed everything. That changed a lot of things for me.
Welcome to Real Love, Real Stories TV and podcast. This is Kanu. I'm the host. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really excited because June is Pride Month. So in honor of it being Pride Month, I'm so happy and honored to have Tasha and Bree on the show today. And I just know you're going to love their love story. Enjoy. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/real love, real stories and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/real love, real stories to get started today. Welcome you guys to Real Love, Real Stories. I'm really excited to have you on. So let's start by having you guys introduce yourselves to the audience.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for having us. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Tasha. I am a life coach and a writer, and I also happen to be your neighbor.
Yay.
Yes. I'm Briann. I'm a professional basketball player, and
We met up at Gonzaga in Spokane, Washington, playing open gym.
I'm from Spokane, so that's why I was there.
Okay.
It was in between seasons, and I was just looking for some cardio, somewhere to go play, just to kind of get my legs moving. And
I was in between seasons as well.
Yeah.
So I was working out, and then I thought I'm a talkative person. I am very outgoing, and I just love people, and I want to talk to people. She is a very reserved person, and so when she goes home, she just wants to be around her family, and like that's it. She wants to get in, get out, and so I am like trying to talk to her, and I'm like, "Hey, da 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 da," and she's just like, "Okay, I have to go now." Like,
so
I thought she was the biggest jerk ever. We met then, and then we had each other's numbers because of open gym. It was like, "Hey, let me know when you guys are playing, and then I'll come over." And then we were really like social media acquaintances, I would say, for the next 3 years.
Even after that day.
After that day,
that was the first day that you
met. Ever. Yeah. And so, but we didn't talk after that. It like literally 3 years, I think, had gone by. Yeah. We liked each other's stuff on social media here and there.
Yeah, but it wasn't anything like we weren't commenting or doing anything like that.
Well, he did comment a couple of times.
Oh, I did?
You did.
Maybe.
You slid
I might have. Who knows?
But we were both in relationships at the time, so we didn't really think anything about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Fast forward to October of 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was playing basketball in Turkey. I was living in Orange County, California, and I had just gotten out of a relationship and was not looking for any type of relationship with anyone at this point. I was focused on myself and just focused on loving myself. And she posted a picture in, where were you at?
I was in
Chinopoli, Turkey, and it was beautiful. It was like from a plane?
Oh no, it was actually from our hotel. It was like up on a hill, and it was like down I might have taken one from a plane when we were flying in, but it was beautiful. Like there's the water, like the way the house is just kind of, it was absolutely a beautiful place.
Yeah. It was an awesome picture. Enough for me to want to know where it was at. So
we were just there playing a tournament. Like it wasn't even, that's not where I was living or whatever. But
so we were there for a short time.
Yeah, we were just there visiting because we had a few games out there. But
So I wrote her, so she posted up on Instagram, and for the social media users out there, you know, you can see Instagram messages, but like you don't have to respond basically. Like you can just like, ignore them. So I wrote her a message on Snapchat because on Snapchat you're more inclined to respond, right? It's more like,
they know you can
like
see when someone reads it,
the notification won't go away. So I wrote her a message on Snapchat and I just asked, you know, hey, where are you? That looks really pretty. I want to add it to my bucket list kind of a thing. And then she was like, yeah, come visit, you know, just like super playful. And then we just kept talking on Snapchat, but with the time difference, she would wake up in the morning and be like, okay, so I forgot what we're talking about because it was like a 9-hour time difference or something crazy. And so then I was like, you know, there's this thing called texting where it like saves your conversations.
I was like, oh yeah,
we can really do that. And so then right after I said that, she sends me a text message, and I didn't even know she had my phone number, but she had still had it from the open gym. And I do have to say,
I'm glad her number didn't change because I was just like, hey.
So she texted me, it was really cute, but I have to just insert here that she had my name saved in her phone as Tasha GU for Gonzaga University for like the first 4 years of our relationship. She never changed it.
Okay. I like to make sure I remember a person because you never know. Like you just like I come into contact with a lot of people. Like you know, you're like traveling, blah 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 blah, and like it just is helpful for me to put like a little something. So I'm like, it
helps you remember
that person. Like I remember her from there. But I should have changed it when we started dating. But it was Tasha GU for
a long time.
For a very long time. Anyway.
So then texting turned to FaceTiming. And then, like, all we could do was talk because we were distant. You know, she was in Turkey, I was in LA, and we just got to know each other. And also, we didn't have any expectations at the time. I wasn't expecting this to be anything. She wasn't, I don't think, expecting this. Yeah. So
it was just, like, really good conversation, honestly. Like, just talking about anything and everything.
Yeah.
And it was
just honest and, like, raw and vulnerable.
Exactly. I mean, both of us, being that we were, like, in relationships, like, we talked about where we were and all that and, like, what had happened and, like, how we felt about it. And so, like, you know, and how we were in relationships, good and bad, like, the bad things you might have done, you know. And so, like, it was all out there, you know, because I mean, I didn't really, you know, didn't think anything was going to come of it. So we were just like, word vomit, like somebody new with open perspective, like who understood, but it was nice.
And she was kind of cute too. So then,
I mean,
so then we FaceTime for months. So this happened over like 3 months. And then the day after Christmas, so 2014, the day after Christmas, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and she calls me on FaceTime and was like, hey, can you make a 5 o'clock flight? And I was like, to Turkey? She's like, yeah, there's one that leaves out of LAX. And I was like, yeah, I can. So I literally went home and I packed my bags and went to the airport, and then I was on a flight out to Turkey.
I was like, oh shit, she actually said yes.
Yeah.
No, because like, I mean, with the time difference, like I woke up and I was like thinking about it and I was like, oh, just let me check. And I was like, oh, I was like, should I ask? And then I did, and I didn't really know how it was going to go or whatever. You know, you just never know. I mean, it's not like you're flying from, you know, Arizona to California.
How many hour flight? How many hours is that?
10?
Yeah, 10 or 11, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but for me, I mean, I love to travel and I love adventure and all of that stuff. So for me, I was like, okay, worst case, like we don't get along at all in person, which I couldn't imagine, or she's like psycho somehow.
Right.
I'm like, I have a return ticket. I can get a hotel and, you know, go to Turkey, whatever. But I actually wasn't freaked out about it. It felt so right. Yeah. But then on my flight there was a guy sitting next to me, and he was like, I'm telling him the story, and he's like, wait, so like you haven't seen her since you guys have been like dating over the past 3 months, and what's gonna happen when you see her? And what are you gonna say? And blah blah blah. And I was like, you're freaking me out, man. Like chill, dude. Chill. Like
I don't need this energy.
Yeah. So then I got there, and the doors opened, and she was in her little mismatching outfit like she does often. It was really cute. And I was nervous at first, but then as soon as we got in the car, she grabbed my hand, and then I was like, okay, everything's
happening.
Cool. Yeah,
it's
everything's happening.
Yeah.
So then we saw each other a couple more times while she was over there.
Yeah.
And then she
I flew out to California for like
2 days.
2 days.
Really
Like
exhausted.
it was a quick flight. Landed 2 days and then was back. I know it, I guess.
Because you loved me already.
Oh, already.
Yeah, no.
Already.
But then, I went back out in April for a couple weeks, and then she came back and went to Indiana because that's what she was playing at the time.
Okay.
And I was getting my doctorate at the time, so I had the summer off. And so I was like, I'll come out to Indiana for a little bit. So we bought a one-way ticket, just, seeing how the summer went, whatever. And 3 years later, I was still there. I didn't leave. She wasn't ready for it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so now
that's crazy.
2 houses, 2 states.
Right.
A couple countries later.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I love about your story. Is that when you know that the person likes you, or wants to be with you, 10-hour difference is like no problem.
No, it does not matter.
To my audience who are struggling with finding love and thinking about a guy or a woman likes them, and you're sitting by the phone waiting for them to call you, and they don't show up for a date, like that person doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
The person who cares about you looks for a 5 a.m. flight.
Exactly.
And says, come visit. And you're like, yes, pack your bags right away.
Yeah. Make it work. And it's easy. Distance is hard. It's hard, but when you know you're both in it and you're both committed, it is easier.
Yeah.
And we even lived distance here. I was still in Indiana for a year when she was out here. And we saw each other every month, I think, sometimes more, but that was another year. I think that was 3 years into our relationship that we were distance again for a year. So, it's one of those things, there is I wouldn't say an awkward period when you come back together, but it's kind of like, okay, I'm living with a person again, and we have to figure it out again.
You get in that routine again, because when you're living alone, you get in your own routine, you do your own timing, like how you operate, and then it's kind of integrating somebody else into that flow. But that's pretty easy.
So you travel. How many times per year do you go out of the country? Out of the country,
well, half of the year I'm usually gone.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be gone for 6 months, and then I'll be here for 6 months. But even when we're in the WNBA season, you're in and out of town, like every other, every week you're going somewhere, for travel. Like you might have a home stand for 2 weeks, but then after that, that'll be the longest you'll be home.
Yeah. So I actually didn't even ask, what team do you play for?
I play for the Connecticut Sun now. This will be my 3rd WNBA team. I played 9 years in Indiana. I played 2 years here in Phoenix for the Mercury, and then this will be my first season with the Connecticut Sun. So I'm excited.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So how do you guys manage your relationship then? In that you're going part of the year, and I'm assuming maybe there's a back and forth for you. How do you guys manage your relationship?
That's a good question. So now I'm fortunate enough to go with her. So before, I stayed in Indiana because of my job. Then I got a job out here, and so I moved to Indiana because she was in Indiana, and I got a job and everything was great. And then she's like, she asked for a trade to come back to Arizona. So then she was back in Arizona, and I was like, why am I in Indiana by myself?
Right.
So then I came back here, got a job, and then she was like, I think I'm going to play overseas again. So and so for me, it was good. It was a good thing because I always wanted to work for myself anyway, and this was just really the motivation that I needed to be able to work from anywhere, so that I could travel where she traveled, and not just to be with her all the time, but I was just sick of missing moments, championship games or just important things, and I hated not being able to be there for that. So now I'm able to go with her a lot, but before, it's just a lot of communicate. We're very open communicators, open about how we're feeling. And I also think we both like our space sometimes. So it's not a bad thing for us to have time.
I miss you sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
And that's how we're both kind of, I'm sort of an ambivert where I'm very extroverted. I love people, etc. But then I recharge when I'm by myself. Mm-hmm. And I would say she's similar.
Yeah. Being around, I mean, I'm more of an introvert.
She's more of an introvert, yeah.
And like playing basketball, I've had to become okay with being around a lot of people and like talking with people and like doing that, but that takes a lot of energy out of me. So I do like need my time to recharge and just kind of get back together.
Yeah. And I think we use it as opportunities to just kind of work on ourselves too. Like I think what we learned from our previous relationships and even before we got with each other, that like self-love is the most important, and as long as you have a good relationship with yourself, then that's kind of what you attract into your life, and that's what your relationships feel like. And so I think we like, yes, we miss each other when we're away from each other, but we're never fully dependent on each other in that way. Like we're always like working on ourselves or using it as an opportunity to do something that, we wouldn't have been able to do, or catch up with other friends. Because I mean, here's something in a same-sex relationship, I think we have a lot of the same friends and we hang out. It's not like you do boys night and it's not like that. We're with each other a lot. And so I think those times are good for us to have, some space and just kind of do our thing. Yeah.
But I think, one of the things that was super attractive, or I was super attracted to, was like the fact that she was super motivated, super driven, like independent, like getting her doctorate, like she played professional basketball, like has masters, has she's just very educated, very motivated, and part of like that honestly has allowed us to be together, as much as we have been, because like who she is, it was like not easy, but like she had an opportunity to get a job and she's going to get it because she's qualified. And, when we went to Indiana, like she got herself a job because, she is who she is. And then when we came to Arizona, like becoming the assistant dean of students, like it's because of the work she's put in to herself and to be able to put herself in that position. But, and I appreciate it because I don't want to be away from her, missing moments, being able to grow together. And so we've fortunately been able to be together quite a bit. And when we were in Indiana, unfortunately I had a couple injuries, so I didn't go overseas. So during the off season, I was with her, even though she was working in Indy. We were able to stay together and do that.
I could add nurse to my resume.
I know, she's great. She's great. She's taking care of me one too many times. Hopefully we're done with all of that.
That's beautiful. I like that. So may I ask, are you guys married?
That's a great question. I'll let Bree take this one.
No, we aren't. But she is my forever partner. And no. We're like we have an understanding. Look me in the face and say we don't. You're not going anywhere.
Am I?
Oh, see, you really just don't know anybody. People listening, you don't know.
Yeah, no,
don't trust it.
I think eventually, this is either of our longest relationship. We've been together for about 5.5 years, and usually around 3, we're like, okay.
We joke about it because both of us, around 3 years, we're like, something happens, and we're like, oh, we're done, But made it
so I think marriage is the goal eventually, but we're not in a rush. Our lives have been pretty chaotic looking back at it with all the moving and the traveling, and there's been a lot going on, and so I think it's just the right timing, and
I had to ask,
but it'll happen.
Look at the way that you look at each other. I had to ask.
It's gonna happen. For me, it's just, I don't know. Things have been crazy, moving around, and I don't know if we'll ever have a traditional settled life, because I don't think,
we like to travel.
We love to travel. We love being on the move, but eventually we'll find some time and make sure that happens. We get the question often.
I was going to ask about the kids thing.
Oh yeah.
You guys have to practice taking care of the puppy.
Yes, this puppy that we keep getting.
And I have no doubt in my mind we would be phenomenal parents. I think we would be great parents, and I think we partner up well. I mean, just from taking care of puppies, taking care of friends,
taking care of people.
taking care of people.
Yeah.
I mean, both of our perspectives and the way we care and communicate, it is a good balance. So.
Yeah, I think, we're not at the point right now we are ready to have kids because our lifestyle just isn't
Can't mess
conducive.
up this body.
Okay, she can't mess up her body. Whatever. So, yeah, but I also think it's always been a goal of mine to be extremely philanthropic and work with children. And so it's one of those things where I'm not like, I would love to have kids and I'm excited about the idea of having kids. I'm not ready to have kids yet, but I also wonder if it would, I don't want to say limit me, like children are a hindrance. They're not, but like I do have a heart.
I don't have kids.
Yeah. And so I want to serve a lot of people. And so that's sort of where my focus is right now. And children too.
Yeah,
like children I want to help. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see if the time comes. We're still young enough that we don't have to be worried about it for a while. But yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's shift gears and ask what I like to ask most of my couples, two people living together. I want to hear, like, what are some annoyances that you guys deal with from each other?
I mean, thankfully, we're really good living together. Like, we're very similar. It makes, like, that is cool.
I don't know if I could, like, if a person, like, was super messy and not clean, that would bother me a lot.
I have a rug upstairs in our room that's like, it's like a Marrakesh rug, and I'm like kind of psycho about it. And so I get mad when anyone walks like, we had someone like a construction person the other day like looking at stuff, and the whole time I'm just like,
I was looking at her and I'm like, okay, I know I was trying to like guide him outside
off my rug. So with her, I'm always like, can you just not walk on the rug? Like, can you just walk around? Which is so silly because it's like, what is a rug for? Like, can you just walk like around? Can you just be on the side of the rug? Just don't walk on the rug, and that'll make me happy.
But I mean, both of us, there's things that we do better than the other.
Like dishes. I knew it. I don't clean dishes very.
You don't?
Well,
I do them
to
detail,
but I miss something sometimes. And so, like last night, she's like, "Which part of this did you clean?" And I was like, "Oh, I just missed that part because that's where you were standing." And then she does like the whole counter all over again. I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." Just go
I
ahead.
take care of the dishes, and that's fine with me. I like doing the dishes. So it's cool.
That's really weird. Doing dishes is not a fun thing.
I don't mind. I put them in the dishwasher, but if we have to like actually clean something, then I like leave it to her because she's a little anal about it. And you are just a little bit.
Maybe. My family is like, they've made fun of me before, so it's fine.
Okay. But there's not too many, I don't think. We're like the same temperature with the house. We keep things pretty clean and tidy.
Oh, cool.
You make the bed.
I make the bed. I mean, we're okay. When you help me, it's fine.
I help in the morning.
Yeah. So we're okay.
We're very similar. So there's not a lot of things that there wasn't much of an adjustment. Like when she came to live with me, like things just kind of, I don't know, they just continued on for me.
Your spray bottle gets a little out of control sometimes.
Spray bottle?
She sprays her hair, with the spray
water.
bottle. And then all of a sudden water's like all over the place.
I shower and I get water everywhere.
She just gets water. She just gets things like everywhere. She always cleans it up, but she's just a messy, get readier person.
And then she tidies it up.
Yeah, then she tidies it, but like all the time I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what? What are you doing over there?
Anyway,
so what about on the flip side of that? What is one or two things that you absolutely love about each other?
Oh, wow.
Oh man,
it's probably a lot, but
it is one. Okay, I'll go back, and it was kind of sparked by my little journal entry.
Oh man, that was the cutest thing ever. Okay, so we have a bookcase in our house, and You found it on there, right?
Yeah.
She was just going through, we were rearranging our living room, but we were setting up our bookcase again, and she found a journal from like way back.
Like your
2014, my journal from like 2014.
And so she like whips it open, and she's like, oh my, like this, like it was the portion of like the end of her relationship before me, right? And so like it was just like downloading all these like, like all this like, all this baggage in there about this last relationship. And then like she like is like, oh, she's like, I really like this journal, I want to keep it. And I was like, okay, just rip them out. So she's just like ripping, and it's like a lot of pages. And I was like, maybe this isn't gonna.
That's not the important part of this.
Okay, and we're gonna continue on, but. Eventually she got to like the middle of the journal, and there was like these pages about me and how like she met, like how she felt about me, just like talking, and like I don't know, it was very sweet.
Yeah. So that being said, one of my favorite things about her is her spirit and her authenticity. She just is such a genuine soul, and she's very quiet sometimes. So I think sometimes, like, I really did think she was like a jerk at first. And I feel like sometimes, she doesn't talk a lot. So people think she doesn't like them or something like that. But she just has such a great soul, and she's so authentic. Like, she is who she is to her core. And that is just a loving human and just a little ball of light. So I do love that about you.
Aww.
Okay.
Oh,
that was sweet.
You're gonna make me cry.
Such
a softie.
Oh man. And for you, I don't know. No, I do know, and I think I will go back to my comment I made before about just how like ambitious and motivated she is, and just like who she's challenged me. In like a ton of different areas, and like I like to be in control and just kind of stay in my lane and like not really, branch out a lot. And I think she's challenged me in a ton of areas and made me grow since we've been together. And I'm like very thankful for that.
Oh,
yeah,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, and she's just my happy place.
Oh,
yeah.
I love it. So what advice would you give to maybe other people in relationships, or even somebody who's out there single and like, in this COVID-19 and people are not able to go out and date? But just in general, what advice would you give? You can pick one, a single person or couples.
Love in the time of COVID.
I know, gosh. I had a book about it.
My friend Ohima.
Oh, yeah. I would just say, I was always someone in the past who looked for, I felt validated by a relationship. And I felt like I needed a relationship to matter, to feel important, to feel loved. And that caused me to settle at times, and it caused me to end up in relationships that were like full of like passion, but then like were really unhealthy at the other end of it.
Right.
And so, I was sharing with you a little bit before we started, is like I focused on loving myself. And when you love yourself, you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're looking for someone who you enjoy being around.
Right. Yeah.
And so for single people, it's not a race. If it doesn't matter if you're 30 or 40, you don't have to be doing anything. Like, oh, you should be married, or I thought you'd be this, or all my friends are this. Like everyone has a different path, and focus on yourself. And literally, if you just focus on love and being the best person you can be and tapping into your passion and your purpose, like that is what will be brought to you.
Actually attract a lot of people.
You'll attract that. And that's the thing, like me being who I was before, or needing a relationship or whatever, I wouldn't have attracted her. Not that that's like a weak thing, but if you just listen to all the things she's attracted to, like that comes from me loving myself. And so that's what brought, the right person. So I would just, say focus on yourself and love yourself, and
I like that.
And it'll come to you.
I like that.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I mean, if you're not in a good place on your own, you're not going to have a successful relationship or attract a person who's going to be positive for you. I mean, it just thinking back in my relationships, like, I mean, either on my side or on my partner's side, like, I knew it wasn't going to work because either like there were things that either I needed to work on my own, or there were things I needed to work on, loving myself, knowing what I needed, like, or the person that I was with going through the same thing. Like, it's not going to work unless you are in a good place.
Absolutely.
And when you are in that good place, you'll be able to love yourself and the person you're with and have a successful relationship.
And I'll just bookend that with one final thing with that is that a lot of times, like, I used to always attract the same person. I'm like, why do I keep dating the same guy? Or why do I keep dating? Like, why does this always happen?
Oh, yeah, we did.
But it's like,
that.
Oh yeah, I didn't get into straight girl. I'm a straight girl.
Anyway,
but yeah, so I'm like, why am I always dating the same guy? Like, why is this happen? Why is God punishing me? Like, why do I keep? But it's like I was attracting the person that I was ready to attract, and it wasn't until I changed that I attracted something different. Yeah.
You just talked about dating the same guy, and then you're in this relationship. So can you tell us a little bit about that if you always...
So I didn't date a female until I was 25.
Okay.
I've always dated men, and even after that first relationship, I had no intention of dating a female again. So really my intentions were completely pure when I reached out to her, because that's not... it was kind of like a one-time deal, and I was like, okay, like I really liked her, but I really like guys, and I still to this day really like guys. I guess I should say men. We're adults now, men. But yeah, and so I still really like men, I think it was me, one, giving up this expectation of like what I thought love needed to look like, or what it should look like, or what it had to be like, and I just kind of let things happen and let life flow and let love flow. And now obviously we've been together for 5.5 years, but I think, we're both fluid on the spectrum. She's dated men as well. She's dated, more women than me, but I think we are like love is love kind of people. And so whoever, I think I'm attracted to people's souls and their spirit. And
is that the same thing as pansexual?
I mean, it could be. I guess if I had to label it, I identify as bisexual. But I do think with pansexual, it's like, transgender, whoever, like you just love who you love. Right. I've not been in that situation, so I'm not sure how I would respond to it.
It's all inclusive.
Yeah, it's like all inclusive. But I still, even if that's not my preference, like I'm a love is love proponent. So I don't care what you are or what you identify as or however you feel. I want everyone deserves to be loved. And
that's true. I mean, there's just beauty all over the place, and like you said, we're both kind of fluid in that regard. But yeah, it was a tough journey for me to like accepting that in myself, because that wasn't always around me. Like I didn't see that often, like where I grew up and coming to college, like I was still dating guys and having different feelings about, girls and guys, and like trying to label that for myself and identify where I stood. That was a tough journey. But when I was able to kind of accept myself for what I was feeling and, what made me happy, that kind of changed everything. That changed a lot of things for me.
So if you may indulge me, I would like to do what I call a lightning round.
Okay. Oh gosh. Let me get some water. Let me get ready, stretch a little bit.
And I'm actually doing this the TikTok style.
Oh Lord. Okay. Here we go.
Those relationship questions.
Yes.
So for thinking about the listeners that were listening on their radio, so I want you guys to use your names instead of pointing out how they point. So use your names. So just 10 questions, fun questions, right? Okay, so here goes the lightning round. So, who initiated the first kiss?
Tasha.
And then who apologizes after a fight?
Tasha.
And who's the funny one?
Tasha.
Briann.
Okay. I'm pretty funny. You know this.
Anyway.
Who's more romantic?
Briann.
Who is the most patient?
Briann.
And who's the better cook?
Briann.
And who said I love you first?
Tasha. Yeah.
And who's more stubborn?
Tasha.
Maybe.
Say your name right now. You say Tasha right now.
And who's grumpier in the morning?
Briann.
Yeah.
And then the last question, who's the social butterfly?
Tasha.
Tasha.
That was fun, guys. Thank you.
That was fun.
So that is what I had, what I wanted to talk to you guys about and hear your love journey. So I appreciate that. But is there a question that you were hoping I would ask that I didn't ask? That you want to share with the audience?
I will share this because I think going from the single angle is great, but then when you get in a relationship, it's like, okay, what makes a relationship work and last and all of those things. And starting from the beginning, we were very open and communicated and vulnerable and all that stuff because we were apart. But I will say communication is 100% the key to a relationship. Like we talk about like everything that we're feeling, and for her, it takes her a couple days to process. Like I'm the kind of person, if something's wrong, it's like fire through the house. like I'm telling, I'm like, let's talk about it right now. With her, it's like she needs some time to like process. So before it was like, what's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Normal female type stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I dating females? What's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. So then I realized, and she's like come a long way too, but that like she needs time to process. I understand that now, and then we'll talk about it when she's ready. But definitely communication is like the key to having a successful relationship, and about what you want and what you need and what bothered and all of those things. Like it's better to just like talk about it, because otherwise you just let it build, and that's when fights happen. And
and kudos for you guys for finding that out, right? Because you could have let it just fester and then it becomes this big thing and blow up. So what about love languages? What are your guys' primary?
She's quality time for sure. And I'm physical touch, and then if we're separate, I'm words of affirmation. But so I had to learn that too, because for me, I'm like quality time. We're watching a movie together, even though I'm on my computer and doing whatever, and that's like not quality.
So you need like
she's like
attention.
Quality time. We're hanging out. Like we're this is quality time. So
you weren't looking at
you get you attached though, right?
Yes, I do. Yes. So we do get our
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay guys, so thank you again for being on Real Love Real Stories. Do you want to let the audience know how they can connect with you if you want to be connected?
Absolutely. Instagram I think is good for us. I am Tasha Marie Coaching on Instagram.
And I am BJan_20.
BJan_20 on Instagram. Yes. And it's a wrap.
Woo! Love you guys.
Thank you so much for listening, and all the way to the end. I am genuinely so grateful. So now you can continue to show your support in a few different ways. The first one is, if you can think of someone who might benefit from this episode, please send it to them. And the second thing is, we all are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the like. So please share this episode. And I love it when people tag me to their post. And 3, head over to iTunes. You can leave a review and you can rate this episode. All your feedback is very helpful, and it helps this podcast get visible so others can listen to all these great stories. Thank you so much. Till next time.